Showtime! The Capital G Show starts right now.
What's up YouTube, Capital G here. Today we're talking about the Yu-Gi-Oh anime and the actual trading card game as well. Ever since the original Yu-Gi-Oh Duel Monsters, it's been pretty customary for anime characters to run fairly mediocre decks where they don't use optimal cards or ratios. For Pete's sake, Jesse from GX only ran one copy of each Crystal Beast monster in his main deck. Part of that was because of the dumb plot, but I think you guys get where I'm going with this. This is one of the reasons why anime archetypes usually feel underwhelming, and they don't make much of an impact when it comes to real life competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, but every so often, maybe once or twice per era, there's an anime character with a deck that basically breaks the mold. Not only is their anime deck slash archetype actually competitively viable, but shockingly enough, it can be a dominant force. Sometimes so much so that it even makes you question how they ever lost on the show to begin with. Now, just to be clear, I'm not going to be considering characters that have blatantly fake monsters and cards like the crap that Don pulled. I'll also be sticking to decks that basically turned out to be broken, so archetypes that were just good, like Anna's Trains from Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, will also not make the cut either. And lastly, the character had to actually be playing the deck in the anime during the same era that the cards were released in the TCG or the OCG, so situations like the LDS Trio and Arc V are going to be excluded as well. I also feel it necessary to issue a light spoiler warning, as I will have clips associated with each character. Finally, without further ado, these are 6 characters from the Yu-Gi-Oh anime whose deck was way too powerful for real life Yu-Gi-Oh. Number 1, Aster slash Edo Phoenix, Destiny Heroes, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, somewhat of an anti-hero first in GX, which coincidentally makes perfect sense considering that D Heroes were first released in the set Enemy of Justice. Aster's Destiny Heroes embody him perfectly. On the surface, they have flair and they look cool, maybe what you might expect from their elemental counterparts.
Now, whether you like me or not, there's one fact that no one out there can dispute. I'm the best. I can't be beat. And to prove it, I'm challenging this schoolboy. I won't tell you his name, but it rhymes with Schmaden Schmooky.
But they're a lot darker than that, as if they're fueled by vengeance or anger, which actually summarizes a good portion of his storyline in the second season of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX as well.
What's with you? You think this is all just a big joke? Huh? Well, I got news for you, Joy Boy. Dueling isn't about having fun. At least not for me. But someone like you would never understand that. I duel for justice and revenge.
Destiny Heroes in real-life Yu-Gi-Oh! Were absurdly powerful and easily the most meta-relevant archetype of the entire GX era, being anchors of decks like Dad Return, Perfect Circle Monarchs, T-Hero, and Diamond Dude Turbo, just to name a few. Sure, there were some crappy D-Heroes, but when you have powerhouses like Disc Commander, Malicious, and Destiny Draw, you can overlook that. Number 2, Crow Hogan, Blackwings, Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. People might not realize this, but this guy was originally supposed to be a Dark Signer. His archetype ended up being so overwhelmingly popular with the fans, they decided to make him into one of the show's biggest heroes. Crow uses one of the most iconic archetypes in Yu-Gi-Oh! History. Oddly enough, his beginnings are the exact opposite of his decks. Crow basically grew up in the ghetto and was so poor he had to go to the local land dump in search of cards that others would throw out.
So I hit the dump. It was the only place where a kid from the streets could hope to find a card or two.
Blackwings, on the other hand, came out the gate in Crimson Crisis and immediately made top 4 at a Shonen Jump Championship, and this was without many key cards like Black Whirlwind, Shura, Kalut, Blizzard. When they got those cards and more in the next set, Raging Battle, they basically went next level and started winning those Shonen Jump Championship events. They were even played so much competitively that Konami had to completely bury the deck in the archetypes, with limits to Whirlwind, Kalut, Gale, and many more to force players onto newer archetypes. Number 3, Reggie Akaba, Different Dimension Demons, Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V, dueling prodigy, child genius, and CEO of a billion-dollar company at the age of 15. If I wasn't making this video, hell, even I would think that I'm talking about Kaiba here. Reggie is not only the founder of the Lancers, an organization created to defend against invaders from different dimensions, but in my opinion, he's easily the best duelist on the entire Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V series. Not just in terms of technical play, but his combos like the infinite loop that he used to defeat Roger in the Synchro Dimension really showcase his skill as a duelist.
ペンデュラムゾーンのトーマスとニコラを破壊し特殊召喚できる。 だがカオスアポカリプスはニコラの効果で手札に戻る2枚のペンデュラムカードも再びセッティングされる。そして発動中の永続トラップ魔界フリコの契約書の効果でお前は2000ポイントのダメージを受ける。乱入時にすでに2000のペナルティを受けているお前のライフはこれで尽きる。これでお前は乱入するたびに敗北し続ける。永遠にな。
DDD was equally as impressive when the cards were released in the actual card game as well. This might not resonate all that much with TCG players because of the constant delays to Pendulum Domination, but the deck was actually tier 1 in the OCG and was such a force that Konami semi-limited 2 of the cards within the archetype at one point. If it hadn't been released 3 weeks before Zodiac in the TCG, I think people would have come to realize that it could have done remarkable things over here as well. Number 4, Aoi Zaizen, Trickstar, Yugioh Reigns. Aoi is easily the most puzzling character on this list. She's a world-renowned duelist who's even made it to Seto Kaiba's Pro League, a dueling circle comprised of only the highest-ranking duelists in the world. So how the hell does she ever manage to lose considering her Trickstar deck is primarily burn-focused, and in the anime you have like half the life points as you do in real-life Yu-Gi-Oh! Conventional wisdom says that Aoi should have a record of something like 150-0. I also call her puzzling because her Blue Angel persona is wildly different than Aoi in most situations. To put it into perspective, it's kind of like Trickstars before and after they put Lycoris on the field. Aoi is Trickstar in the beginning of the duel, quiet, subtle, maybe a couple of searches, and that's pretty much it.
Fujiki Yusaku-kun, だったわね。おはよう。
おはよう。
Blue Angel is Trickstar after Lycoris. Unleashed, crazy, over the top. Speaking of crazy, Trickstars were only out in the TCG for a mere 3 months before they made it all the way to the finals of a YCS and is generally accepted as the second best deck in the game currently. Number 5, Zane Truesdale, Machines, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. So technically, Zane is, I guess you could call, a bit of a mixed bag. In Season 1 of the GX anime, he plays Cyber Dragons. Then in Season 2 of the anime, after losing to Aster Phoenix in a nationally televised duel, which, by the way, I'm just gonna point out, was literally this guy's first loss in the entire fucking series.
What? That's right. Your little dragon just picked the wrong fight. Guess who's got more points now, Zany? You. Correct! And don't you forget it!
He becomes super edgy and immediately drops the deck for Cyber Darks. This is, in my opinion, probably the single worst decision made by any Yu-Gi-Oh! Character ever, kind of like how Cyber Dark Impact was the single worst set ever.
And so, with 37 cards in my graveyard, Cyber Dark Dragon gains 3,700 points. It has over 7,000? Exactly. That's the power of the Underworld deck.
With that said, Machines were an absolute force to be reckoned with during the GX era. They had some incredibly strong cards like Future Fusion, Limiter Removal, Overload Fusion, Cyber Phoenix, etc. Also, because of the wide range of effects of these cards, it meant that machine-based decks could win in a variety of ways, including OTK, Control and Outgrind, even Burn in one case. And guess what? All of these cards that actually made them good in a Shonen Jump winning deck in real life, Zane played every single one of them on the show. He even used Chimera Tech Overdragon to OTK Mad Dog in the Underground Pain Duel, exactly how Chimera Tech OTK won a real-life Shonen Jump championship in early 2007.
Since I ditched 6 cards, my Overdragon is now able to attack you 6 times! It can? It can! Overdragon! End this!
Number 6, Kalin/Kiryu Kessler, Infernity, Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. If you've never seen 5Ds and you don't know about Kalin, prepare yourself for a very, very sad story. Like Who's Cutting the Onions, and this is the reason why everybody loves 5Ds level sad story. Just like Crow, Kalin grew up in the ghetto with basically nothing. In his teenage years, he met up with Yusei, Crow, and Jack Atlas, and eventually formed himself a nice little street gang called the Enforcers, where he was the leader. Eventually, the cops caught wind of this, and after a standoff, he was caught and sent to prison. Even worse, Kalin went to prison believing that his best friend in the entire world, Yusei, betrayed him and was actually the person who turned him into the police. And this is where the story gets really sad, boys and girls. The guards basically redefined what inmate cruelty was. Not only was he constantly beaten, but they also refused to let any visitors see him.
刑務所で俺は徹底的に監視たちに回ってたね。あらゆる暴力を受けた。俺たちは何度も面会に行った。
He ended up dying alone in his cell before being resurrected as a Dark Signer. With a backstory this fucked up, no wonder this guy plays Infernity, a deck that I swear even Konami themselves hate. The combo he pulls off in the show in a duel where he utterly destroys Yusei Fudo is nice, but it's nothing compared to what players actually did with the deck in real life Yu-Gi-Oh! Infernity not only won a Shonen Jump championship and was a menace during the 5Ds era, but just like Kalin, it was resurrected by an unspeakable evil, in this case Soul Charge being created, and was given a new life in Zexal, where the deck proceeded to ruin and ultimately win the 2014 Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship. So let me know what you guys ultimately thought of my list. Were there any other characters from the anime that ended up having like OP decks in real life Yu-Gi-Oh! That I forgot? If so, leave that in the comment section below. Thank you guys as always for watching. Subscribe if you have not already. Turn on that notification bell for daily videos.
Hear me, Schmaden? You know who you are, you card thief. You think your Aster ripoff deck is so great? Prove it by putting it up against my deck.